Season 4, get out of here.
Who do you think you are with your seasons and your daemons?
Hexadecimal, she spreads out through the web, taking out Damon, bada bing, bada boom, big fucking deal.
And that is episode 4 of season 4, folks.
All right, have a good night.
Bye.
ALPHANUMERIC. ReBoot. You're prepared for a giant monster made entirely of nulls stomping around mainframe? Andrea, Enzo was trying to be funny. What's a good at? Groovy. You can't talk in these things.
An icosahedron.
Icosahedron every day.
Sometimes twice a day.
Greetings, viruses. Welcome to episode 47 of Alphanumeric, the world's foremost reboot podcast. I'm the Siege, one of your hosts, and joining me this week is Lady Glitch
Hey, friends.
and NeoCal.
Hello, how are you?
I am dealing with a pretty heinous flu at the moment. It's kind of taken everything I have in me right now to game face at the moment. So haven't been to work for the past 3 days. I basically slept since time of recording. This is Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right?
Oh, geez.
It's
Yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah.
I basically been sleeping since Saturday evening, off and on, drifting in and out of consciousness. So if I seem a little off or a little low energy or something of that sort,
So you're
I
basically
apologize.
Bob mode right now.
Yeah.
I basically what?
You're basically in Bob
Bob.
mode right now. You're fading in and out.
Right, yeah.
Approaching total defragmentation.
Yeah, to put it in Beast Wars terms, I'm about to enter stasis lock.
Oh, shit. We better get him in a CR chamber.
I know, we got to get back to sufficient energon.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, me and Cal, we've mentioned it a million times before, but we have another podcast called Too Much Energon, where we do this, but we talk about Beast Wars. So go check that out, wherever podcasts are downloaded. This week on Alphanumeric, we are covering the 4th episode of season 4. Sacrifice. There we go. I almost had it. Sacrifice is the name of the episode. Before we get into talking about that, though, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping and address an elephant in the room, a Snidler-sized elephant in the room, if you will. A Snidler-shaped elephant, whatever.
I was going to be like, is this the smallest elephant in the world?
Hi.
People have been starting to ask, where's Snidler? Why hasn't he been on the show lately? And, well, there are a myriad of reasons why he hasn't been on the show since episode 41. It kind of varies from episode to episode, but for speaking in terms of season 4, at least, it just comes down to scheduling, mostly, like pretty much. I've mentioned this before, like me and him work together. I typically do morning shifts. He does closing shifts. And previously there was a very small window of time where we actually were able to record together. And unfortunately, that time no longer works for the entire group. So it basically just came down to we had to pick a day and time every week to record this show that worked for as many of us as possible. So that's why
it's a miracle there are 3 of us.
Yeah.
It really is, especially today.
Yeah.
So that's basically what it comes down to. Someone asked me, like, someone had mentioned that they were concerned that there had been some kind of like falling out or like internal drama. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that's going on. I mean,
He's being a good guardian. He's system hopping. He's doing his thing. He'll come back to us eventually, but right now he's out having fun and, hanging with web writers. So it's a very Snidler kind of thing to do.
Right. Yeah. So no drama, no nothing like that. Like I said, I work with the guy. I see him, not for very long, but I see him every day and we usually chat as I'm on my way out the door. In fact, the other day he was just telling me about some vehicle troubles he was having. So good luck to him dealing with those. Now that that's out of the way, as I mentioned, we're talking about the fourth episode of season 4 of Reboot,
Which is the
Sacrifice.
conclusion of the first arc.
It is the conclusion of the Damon Rising arc. So the episode originally aired as a single episode on, damn you, Wikipedia.
Damn you, Wikipedia.
Damn you, Wikipedia. November 2nd, 2001. It originally aired in Canada as part of the Damon Rising movie on November 18th, 2001. As I mentioned, for the past 3 episodes now, season 4 of Reboot in Canada was 2 movies.
And season 4 here in the States was 8 separate episodes.
And especially after watching this episode again, I definitely stand by my assertion that I made on previous episodes that it works better as a movie than it does as individual episodes. But with that out of the way, who wants to get us started with Sacrifice?
Cal, you do it.
Okie dokie. What's going on here? They're making another Stargate, I think. Is that what's going on?
Something like that a little bit later on, yeah. But right now we open in the net, and Damon and Matrix, Andrea, Mouse, they're all just kind of riding their way with the Guardian Armada towards Mainframe.
Oh, right. Little glimpse that they're in trouble.
Little bit.
There's something strange in the neighborhood. Who are you gonna call?
Not Mouse.
Not Mouse, no, because she's
Traitor.
she bad.
So she's got a samurai sword,
Okay.
Right.
So she follows the code of the Bushido,
Which is
Does
is
she?
like a samurai warrior's code.
well, of course. I was wondering if you knew it, so you could elaborate.
Oh,
Yeah, for the listeners out there, what is the code of the Bushido?
so
Yeah.
the way of the Bushido is the way
So-
of the blade.
So what you're
And-
saying is Mouse played a lot of Bushido Blade on PS1 between seasons 3 and 4.
Did I tell you that I've been playing Bushido Blade 2 lately?
I don't think on air, but yes, you have mentioned it.
I'll get into that at the end. There, I'll plug a little project I'm doing with another podcaster. But yeah, basically she programmed Bushido Blade 1. And
I mean, technically, she could have just stolen the sword at some point.
you know what? Yeah, let's go with that.
That seems
She's
more
not
likely.
honorable. Yeah.
No.
No, she's a good person, but honor and that kind of thing aren't her specialty. So yeah, she probably does not follow the Bushido. So she does not have to fall upon her sword once she snaps out of it. If she snaps out of it,
Right.
done.
So yeah, Wellman is building another Stargate. Do we know why at this point? I mean, I know it factors in later on in the episode, but I just can't remember if it's something that got brought up
Not
in previous episodes.
not really. They expand on it a little bit in this episode, and even when they explain it, it left me a little bit like, what? How? So maybe one of you can help explain that.
So essentially
do
they're
you
trying-
know?
Well, my hypothesis is that they're trying to make another gateway portal, probably to shoot Damon into the web. Because later on in the episode, Dot's got this big ass plan going on, which we actually see here in the following scenes over in the principal office. And she looks at Wellman later on, and she's like, when we give the code or when we give the signal, just click send. So I'm assuming they're going to try to send Damon into the web.
Oh, I had wildly different ideas. Interesting.
What's yours?
Mine was just, they were like, I don't know, this blew shit up before. We got nothing to lose. And they were planning on sacrificing Mainframe, which is why I'll get into this later, which is why Dot has been pushing away Bob and she
Mhm.
wants him to leave mainframe, and why she sends little Enzo away in a game. She's going to recreate the event that destroyed Lost Angles in order to destroy Damon.
So she
Her
wants to do
virus will still be out there, but she can't initiate
Mm,
it if she's gone.
okay.
Right, because she does mention later on about destroying Damon, and they're like, oh well, the Guardians, everyone will still be infected, and she's like, well, but she can't. If she's gone, maybe she can't control them anymore, and we can figure out a way to help them.
Yeah,
Something
Mhm.
along those lines.
I'll point out the reasons for my that conclusion as we get nearer to the end of the episode. But
All right, so
when it clicked for me, I was like, oh, she's sending everyone away because she's gonna destroy Damon and everyone in mainframe.
Well,
That's
and
why she
maybe
wants Bob to leave. That's why she sends Enzo away in the games. It's not so he can come back a strong Guardian. It's so that he survives.
well, and maybe blowing up the Stargate. Well, it's open to various systems. Maybe they feel like that will, in the process, like the destruction will also destroy Damon in the process, like because it'll.
At best, it destroys Damon and maybe her code, and at worst, Damon
And
and
that
mainframe blow up, and it's still better than Damon winning.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, it's
yeah, we're
bleak.
this is like back against the wall type planning that's going on right
I,
here.
I dig it. Sometimes the best plan is to minimize damage.
yeah.
Damage control.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Nullman Matrix.
Nolan Matrix. I mean,
Yeah. So Nullman is
playing catch.
he's playing catch with Enzo, and apparently Wellman's really good at it as a null.
So good at it that it causes the iconic phrase that you use for the intro of the show, the alphanumeric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd actually forgotten that it was this episode that I pulled that soundbite from because I did it like a year ago.
Yeah, I always wondered. I'm like, what echoey cool like effect is that? And it's from an episode I hadn't seen, this one. But I mean, he's just catching a baseball.
Yeah.
Is that alphanumeric?
It's a null monster catching a baseball.
Oh,
I think it's pretty
fair. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I mean, technically, Nullman doing anything is kind of a marvel at this point.
Mhm. It's like he can change shapes and holy shit.
Oh, right,
And
because
I
Fong
was,
comes
like,
out.
so like enraptured with this shape of his dad.
Yeah.
So
So he's got big ADD energy here. He comes up to Nullman. Lol. Fong comes out and he's like, how is little Enzo taking his father's transformation? And Nullman's like, well, he's taking it actually pretty good. And Enzo runs over, still dressed like Matrix, by the way. And he's like, oh my God, he's so cool. Like you had said, oh, he can change shape. And oh, like he's so cool and he's so smart. Hey, there's Frisket. And then he runs away. And I'm like, that is such fucking high ADD energy. When I was watching it with my partner, she just turned and looked at me. And I was like,
I thought the same thing, Cal, when I was watching it earlier. I'm like, oh my God, it's Cal on screen right now. And there you go.
Well, you see, the thing about Nullman is that he's talking with Fong and plastic bag, potato chip.
SpaghettiOs.
SpaghettiOs.
I still have your bag of ketchup chips back here, Siege,
Oh fuck.
that I
Did you
brought
ever
back.
did you ever end up eating that?
They're still in the bag.
It's a monument.
You might want to eat those soon. They're probably coming dated soon.
Oh,
Lay's man? No, they last a decade.
Oh, let's see what.
The date's usually like 2 months
Yeah, let's see.
on potato chips. It's probably on the front.
There it
Left
is.
hand side. Yeah.
February 8th.
Yes. You probably want to eat those soon. Trust me, expired chips not that great.
When they lose their crunch and they get chew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like usually expired chip, like you usually even have like a week or two past the date where they're still fine, but eventually those they're gonna get chewy and
Yeah.
Even
stale and
better.
Well, and the fact that you guys probably don't have as many preservatives in your food like we do down here in the States, so they're probably, up to date.
I don't know about that.
Things are a little bit different. I've noticed.
There are some things that are different, yeah, and like a lot of products will say that come in because listeners, if you've been listening to this show, you probably know this already, but I work at a grocery store and have done so for uh, over a decade now. Um, but the boxes of stock will come in, and a lot of the time they'll say for Canada only or for export only on them because like the standards are the food standards are different between the States and Canada and other countries.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
Canada
no,
only. No one. No one's
sometimes
allowed it.
sometimes they will say for Canada only, or they'll say for export only, or
Declare at the border, which
international only.
declare this on your customs card, which I kind of sort of did not do. So
Sweating. Oh God. Those chips
I
for
sincerely
Canada
forgot
only.
that I had that bag in there until I got home and I opened up my luggage and I'm like, oh shit. I hope CBP does not come knocking on my door over a $2 bag of chips.
The last time I went to the States was in like 2016. I came back and I brought a whole bunch of stuff back with me. Like fuck, I brought beer back with me and everything. Um,
Nice.
and at the border crossing, the which Canadian border crossing, when you're a Canadian coming back into Canada, it's a wildly more chill experience than it is being a Canadian going into the States, where you got like dudes with like dickhead attitudes, like wearing full riot gear, like giving you like grilling you.
M16s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like grilling you about like why you're coming to America. And then like going back into Canada, it's just like a couple of people like not even wearing like vests or anything. Like only one of them was armed. They were like super chill. They like looked in my bag and they're like, "Oh, did you declare?" Oh, they're like, "Oh, you got some, snacks and some beer. Did you declare any of these?" And I'm like, "Uh, I didn't know I was supposed to." And they're like, "Oh, well, whatever. It's fine."
Because it was probably like what, a couple cans and
It was a couple of bottles of beer and like some candy and some chips, and it wasn't like I filled a suitcase full of it or anything like that. It was just like a handful of items, and they're just
yeah,
like,
if you
"Oh,
had
okay,
whole
whatever."
bags full of like stuff that with the obvious intent to resell, then they'd be on your ass a little bit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They don't give a shit if you're
Exactly.
I was just bringing back some American craft beer and some Funyuns. Damn it!
Leave me and my Funyuns alone.
But if it was
Yeah,
the other way around and you didn't declare something, oh man, $250 charge and they'd confiscate it.
yeah,
Yeah.
undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when
You
I went
trying to
over
take away our freedom, boy?
not the freedoms. Oh my God.
You were saying when you were
Oh, when I came over to visit you guys in December, I will echo the very relatively chill atmosphere that CBSA is when you go into, show your passport and they ask you like, how many days you're going to be here? What's your purpose of being over here? And they actually asked me about you guys because
Really.
I'm over here for like, tourism, hanging out with friends, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, how long have you known your friends? I'm like, I've known them for like a year now. We podcast together. And they started asking me about our podcast.
okay, and how is it spelt?
Is this is what y'all talk about on that there podcast, lady?
Oh,
I
these were
said,
Canadians asking.
yeah, I said we talk
Oh.
about 90s Canadian cartoons.
Oh,
Okay.
And on the way back, they're like, podcasting. Where I'm from, we don't take kindly to podcasters. And he spits in a platoon.
we listen to FM radio like real Americans, damn it.
Pulls out a 6-shooter. Shoots the sky.
Speaking of things in the sky, we've got a second firewall that is being built right now to try and keep Damon and friends out.
Oh, it's
Right,
worth
because
noting that Fong mentions because Wellman is like, oh my, Enzo has grown so much, and Fong's like, well, there's something I should tell you about Enzo growing up. And then
I
we
like that.
you were talking about Cal, you were talking about Enzo having like your energy. We cut over to Bob staring at the firewall that you were mentioning, Christina.
Having a sit. Yeah.
That we got Bob channeling some siege energy right here.
He's like sitting, staring off into oblivion and just kind of like has his head down.
It just looks so miserable.
Sad Bob scene. It's like sad Enzo music, but it's a sad Bob scene.
Yeah, he's got some big siege energy right here, going right here.
This is my favorite scene probably in all of that and the car ride scene in the previous episode. This is great. No, it's just Hexadecimal like pops up and he's like, oh, I didn't see you there, or I didn't hear you like coming up. And she's like, oh, it's a virus thing. And I'm like, did viruses sneak up on people often? And I'm trying to think, other than Hex just appearing beside people, did Megabyte? There have been a few times where he's gotten the drop on people, right? But for the most part, he's quite lumbering.
He is. You can hear him like down the hallway, like in
kunk, kunk, kunk. Yeah.
like season 1, episode 6, Belly of the Beast, when he's like running around the tour trying to find where Enzo and Frisket are. You can just hear the metallic footsteps just echoing everywhere.
Tackles the hover tank. Yeah, that's
that not so great episode that was.
So even bad episodes have good parts.
Yeah. In the Belly of the Beast, though, I think is probably one of the worst episodes of season 1.
As long as the freaking Chode Blaster episode exists. I love how some people that listen to the show like absolutely defend that. They're like, hey now, and we're like, we're not saying it's like the worst show ever made. We're saying it's the worst episode of ReBoot. There's a difference.
Yeah, we're not trying to pry the load smasher out of your cold dead hands, or I don't know.
Toad Blaster. So
that's like my brand of comedy right there, and I can't even remember. I was watching something recently or listening to another podcast, and they were doing something very similar to what I was doing in that episode, which was I was calling the code master something different
every time.
And like it was just like a bit that I started doing and just ran with, and
then I helped, and then we both just called.
Yeah. And I was I can't remember. I was watching another show or listening to another podcast recently, and they had a bit very similar to that, and I'm like, that is my kind of comedy right there.
Subscribe.
Well, pretty much.
So
anyway,
yeah, where were we? Oh, right, Hexadecimal shows up. Is it just me or go ahead?
Oh, I was saying like, hello, cheeky. And then there she is. Viruses are light on her feet. Didn't hear you, blah, blah. And they're just kind of hanging out, watching what's going on. And she asks, like, can I do anything for you? Can I help? And Bob is just like, sad siege energy right here. You lost your powers. You can't do anything.
I could power up again. And he's like, oh, God, no, please.
I could go viral again.
And part of me is like, oh, I understand that he wants to.
Sorry, baby, I don't want to have to go get another shot. Damn it.
Part of me understands that he viewed Hexadecimal as what we've kind of canonized for ourselves, at least, as someone who's mentally ill, who with the right medication can actually live a somewhat normal life. Right. And Bob, the way he reacts is like she just said, well, I could become super powerful again and go off my meds. And he's like, no, never, like, don't, you don't need to do that.
Like, but I like you right.
As a viewer, though, it's just like, I mean, she could close that, the break that Damon created. Like she could help a lot as Hexadecimal right now, but
but
He's a good
uh,
man, damn it.
it's no bueno. Damn it, you got to have he has ethics.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
that's one thing that people can say, oh, well, Bob's the most boring character.
No,
I don't
you
think
got
so. He sticks to what he thinks is right, even at the scrutiny of others.
because he can't go against his code, like he tells us almost every episode.
But we find out that's not necessarily true, or in the very least, his code is different than that of other Guardians. The other Guardians are kind of just like, oh, blow it up and ask questions later. He's very much like, no, I don't believe in deletion.
I don't think his
I love that about him.
his line of "I can't go against my code." I don't think it means he's literally incapable of doing that. I think it's like
Agreed.
I think it's just him saying like he has like a set of morals and ethics that he has to follow, and he is morally compelled to stick to them.
He has like, a personal like code. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
I viewed it too. Because as we found out, other Guardians absolutely can kill
And
and are
do.
huge douchebags.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like the notion that the show introduced in season 3 that making you you being a guardian like necessary. All right, even they did that in season 2 actually with Turbo like double crossing Mouse. Being a guardian doesn't necessarily make you inherently like a great dude.
Mhm.
Like you're not necessarily a great person just because you're a guardian.
And that's
Yeah,
interesting because go ahead. Yeah.
or like any other job that you may be required to take an oath of office or to abide by a set of rules or standard moral conduct.
Right. So politics, a judge, a police officer, like
firefighters, etc.
You can be a bad dude and still be a police officer, but that doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of police officers that won't take bribes, that are incorruptible, that actually grew up believing the cops were the good guys. Right.
Right. Yeah.
You ever see that movie Training Day?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters actually.
I was shocked I liked it so much. Dr. Dre,
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg, Ethan Hawke, baby. Check it out.
There you go.
My favorite good cop, bad cop kind of movie. Oh, there's Face Off, but that's a classic.
Mhm.
Well, one's a criminal, not a cop. Anyways.
not in terms of movies, but one of my favorite TV series of all time is The Shield. So, any listeners out there, if you're fans of The Shield, reach out because I love that show.
There was a PS2 game. The Shield game.
There was, yeah. I talked about it on Twitter the other day.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. I was actually like chomping at that game kept getting delayed, and I was like chomping at the bit, like waiting for it to come out. It just kept getting delayed. By the time it came out, it was like several years like it was a PS2 game that I think came out in like 2007 or something like that. Like after like the PS3 was already out, like the game was delayed so much. And like that was around the time the show was in its like penultimate season, and like which was like season 6, I think. And the game is set between, because it had started development so long ago, it was set between seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Instead
of it being a standalone story. Yeah.
It's such a bad game. I'd really love to track it down though, and just
right,
and just give it another play.
I played it. Its big like feature that wasn't new. It was probably new at the time of development. Was that you could like find information out by like being a good cop, or you could be a bad cop and like turn on an oven and slam his face down and burn him, and like bad cop your way to info.
That was kind of novel when they started development of that, but like the Punisher game that had come out like 2 years prior
did it better.
Oh
right, and it came out beforehand.
That original Xbox PS2 Punisher game is really good. I wish it's a shame that it's a licensed game, so it like because of like how licensing deals work, like it'll never see the light of day again. But I really wish there was a way that game could get like at least like backward compatibility on Xbox or something.
Oh yeah.
It'll never happen because it's
never.
An old licensed game.
But... emulators.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Did they ever mention, is there anything like emulators in ReBoot?
No, because
Not really. They weren't really a thing in the early 2000s, were they?
they were, but they were still kind of in their infancy. Because like I remember having Super Nintendo and like NES and Sega Genesis emulators on my Dreamcast back in
Oh,
like
shit.
2001. Yeah.
Dreamcast wins again.
Actually, like emulation was a thing that started in the late 90s. I won't hang on this too long, but it's actually a really fascinating story. And because emulators became the thing that they were because like someone started developing a like a PlayStation emulator and Sony like leapt on them and sued the shit out of them and like lost. And then that like I don't know. It's a really like fascinating story. I recommend reading up about it. The
Well, they
history.
lost.
Yeah, they lost. The
Good.
history of the history of console emulators is quite fascinating. I think it was a Modern Vintage Gamer. I saw a video talking about which Cal, check out Modern Vintage Gamer's channel. He makes really interesting videos. They're like deep dives into like things like emulation, like how console hardware works and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of the guy.
I have it up on the side, so I won't forget.
I was
Yeah.
what I
Oh,
was
this does look up my alley. Yeah.
yeah, no, he's great. He's really charismatic guy too. I used to support him on Patreon for a while. It was funny. I was watching a video where he was talking about how to upgrade the hardware um, of an original Xbox, like upgrading the onboard RAM and things like that, and like replacing like the chipset in it. Um, and a person in the house was like just happened to come into the room as I was watching the video, and he was like talking about like oh having to like pull back like the pins and like solder like the B-SOP chip and like things like he was just talking about stuff like that and she looked at it and she was like and then looked at me like that she's like this is probably the nerdiest thing I've ever seen you watch. I'm like
Um,
I'm like it's cool. It's cool. It's really interesting.
I can't remember if I posted it on which social media or just privately. Remember when I like documented me taking apart, cleaning like very thoroughly and putting back together my Xbox, OG
Yes,
Xbox?
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can take that apart and put it back together through memory. It's really like simple. But yeah, I figured out how it worked. I like looked online and I was like, oh, doesn't actually seem that hard to mod this. And that's kind of been on the back. I put it back together, runs really well. All the dust,
Well,
everything gone.
well, if you want to mod an original Xbox, Modern Vintage Gamer, that is the channel for you. He talks about it a lot because that's how he got his start in, and now he's actually a game developer. But
Rad.
how he got his start in like modding and emulation was on the original Xbox. So he has a lot of fondness for that system and talks about it a lot. It was actually what drew me to the channel because I too am fond of the original Xbox.
Cool. I'll actually have to check them out. Yeah, it seems right up my alley. Eh, do either of you, man, there's so many great screenshots from this episode.
No, right?
Hexadecimal like leaning against Bob as he's like kind of cringing away, as I'm a big fan of. And she's hard coming on to him. She's like, is there anything I can help with? And I'm like, whoa, ReBoot changed. Like this, they're not even hiding the innuendo
Oh,
anymore.
yeah.
I like the faces that Bob makes because she like pushes him down and like climbs on top of him and straddles him and like the faces he makes some like periodically to the camera.
Periodically as she's leaning
Yes.
against him, they both have weird faces. Like it's almost like Hex doesn't know how to make facial expressions,
Mhm.
which makes sense. Did you notice that? Like she'd smile like really weird and like
It's like she's still trying to get used to the fact that she has that power in her face now.
yeah, that as somebody who has been and more or less been plagued by like facial tics and like that kind of thing, I was like, yeah, I feel that. that just like weird like facial movements that you don't know you're making, and it kind of feels like she doesn't realize she's making crazy faces. But she pins him down and lays one on him.
And he's like, but Dot. And she's like, she'll do nothing. I already asked her. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, she said you're just friends. And then he gets the look on his face like, she said we're just friends? Question mark. It's like, yeah. She just wants to be friends with you.
And part of me is like, there you have it, Bob.
There you have it.
Go.
Nothing
You got nothing
back.
to lose, man. Do you want to live your life not having boned a virus? That's the question we must all ask ourselves at some point in our lives.
Yeah, and I mean, like in this particular scenario, it's like, why not just bone Hex, and then if there's a chance with Dot down the road,
Then
like go with that. But like,
why not both? Is what I'm saying.
Why
Yes.
not both?
Right? I'm glad you agree. It sounds like Lady Glitch agrees too. No. Okay. So in defense, though, Dot is probably #1 favorite character. Someday we'll have to go down like a top 5s for all of our characters. Have we already done that?
We did episodes for season 3.
We did episodes, but not characters.
Right.
Someone on our Q&A episode, Alphanumeric number 40, someone did ask us what our favorite characters were.
Oh, right,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
But
I
we
was like,
can-
wait a second.
But that's
We-
one particular character, though.
We can talk about that, and a whole bunch of other things, because I think after we're done season 4, we should do like a megabyte sized like episode where we just talk about the show as a whole and like bullshit. And well, listeners, Snidler will 100% be back for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. He's
He'll be
got a
back
lot
after
to
we-
say.
Yeah.
And,
So yeah, I think we should do that. That'll be
Okay, yeah.
episode.
I'll save my rant then.
I think that'll be
Yes, so
episode
write it down.
52, 53 of Alphanumeric, maybe.
Something like that. I might actually
According
be-
to my math.
According to it should be episode 52 actually, because this is 47, and then 4 more episodes will take it to 51. So yeah, 52.
Ooh,
There you
Keep
go.
an eye out. AP Snidler will return at the very least on Alphanumeric number 52.
There you go.
yes.
Yeah. So, but does he bone? I like to think that he does, but I mean,
They bone
Dot-
under the glow of this firewall, which explodes like right when they're kissing.
that's a
As
good.
a perfect
That's a good
version.
screenshot.
Oh yeah.
The silhouette of them.
I'm gonna make the episode art sad Bob, Big Siege energy.
Where he's like sitting with his like his hands on his knees, and
Yeah, looking like depressed.
if you can splice it like something like that or whatever, and have like ADT and so on one side. Oh,
Well,
fuck it,
I've been flexing my Photoshop muscles as of late, like on what was it, episode 70 of our Beast Wars
TME.
podcast, Too Much
Yeah.
Energon. I decided to just like stack like 3 reaction faces of Rat Trap on top of one
the
another.
meme of like reaction of Rat Trap looking left, Rat Trap looking right, and then Rat Trap staring dead into the camera.
Yeah,
That's good like caption material.
yeah.
But they don't have a chance to bone, do they?
No, or they were boning before the thing explodes and we just don't see it.
This
See,
is a
we-
children's show after all.
God damn. They didn't have time. I like how she's like, hop in, Bob. I'll drive. And I'm like,
Yes.
maybe don't let Hex drive.
There are so many times, especially when like Hex freaks out later on in the episode, where in my head, like I'm like, this would be so much better if it wasn't a kids show and Hex could just curse.
Oh yeah.
Like when she was like when Damon like has Bob and like Hexadecimal is like, get away from him, and
You
she like
slut.
get away from him, you bitch.
Right?
There are a couple moments in my head where I'm like, I feel like this is a moment where like someone would be cursing right now.
Oh yeah.
And if anyone would be, it would be Hex fighting Damon, which, oh man, I can't fucking wait to dive into that. So what happens here? Oh, the new and improved like Bob Mobile rolls up, doesn't crash. Did we ever
Bob-mobile?
find out who fixed that?
No.
The Bob Mobile? I like to think it was that biker binom
Probably.
while he was away in
Just
the
like-
web. Biker
Yeah.
binom was like just decking it out. Maybe in Bob's will, he left the car to her because she was a car aficionado. And then when he
Right.
came back, she's like, oh shit, well, here's your car. And he's like, what the hell is this? Yeah,
Oh,
that's my
yeah,
head
yeah.
canon.
There you
Yeah, I remember who you're talking about now. Yeah.
Didn't she have a funny voice? Remember Snidler doing the voice for her? Or was that me? Same diff.
No, yeah, she had a voice, and like his impression of her was like an old woman who like smokes like
Oh,
2
the
packs a
smoker
day.
cough. And I'm like, hey,
And you're like, and we're like, it's not quite to that level. Like, dial it down a little bit.
in defense of biker binom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's
Hex
happening
rolls
here?
up- Hex rolls up with the car. They jump in. They go down to the principal office. They're hanging out at the gateway thing. Bob jumps out, and he's like, "We'll never be able to evacuate the city in time." So he's got one train of thought. Dot comes walking over with a different train of thought. She's like, "Who said we're evacuating the city?" And she like looks up at the sky, and she's like, "Where's the GameCube when you really need one?"
I like that. Yeah. When she, because what's happening here is that she realizes, I guess I missed this transition, but she realizes Mouse is working for Damon because she says that she had said earlier in the last episode, oh, as soon as Mouse comes back. And now she's saying, because Bob's like, hey, second firewall, nice.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it can't hold Mouse back for long. And I'm like, oh, okay, so they know they've lost Matrix.
And in the principal office scene, that was at the very beginning, a couple minutes ago, Specky's like, it's impossible to make a new firewall code because Mouse ain't here, and it's too scary.
No.
Yeah, poor old
Why'd
Specky.
they send Mouse to assassinate Damon? I understand, like, that's her thing.
Mhm.
Like, right? Like, she's an assassin hacker, right? The most cyberpunk character on the whole freaking show. But, like, kind of the most important person for
Yeah, it's-
Mainframe.
Yeah, it's
It's probably because
not
she
a
could
great
drive.
plan.
It's probably because she could drive ship undetected.
Hmm.
Man, I just wish they didn't try that. But I understood that.
Mhm.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. Man, she had to, right? Because
Yeah.
wasn't Matrix taking off?
Yeah, she went with Matrix.
And she couldn't stop him. So she's like, well, okay, if you're gonna go try to take her out, like, I'll go with you. So if one
Yeah.
of them,
Yeah, he was
And Andrea
motivated by
wasn't
the
even
fact
with-
that, yeah, because that's what his motivating factor was that she had Andrea, and he's like, oh, I gotta go save her.
And
and
there's always safety in numbers.
he's blunt force. He's gonna go in and give her a bullet with her name on it. And she's sneaky, and great plan. Shooting her in the head and chopping her head off from the shadows. Great fucking plan if you could hurt her.
Hmm. She's kind of invincible though, by
Yeah.
by the looks of it.
By normal weaponry, yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so there's a scene that's happening here where Enzo sees I really like her dress. Hexadecimal sprite bend down, and she's like talking to little Enzo, and she's like petting Frisket. Dot
And-
kind of loses her shit, huh?
Yeah,
And
she's like, get away from him.
and
Yeah,
Enzo's
she's like,
like,
Enzo,
"But
get away.
little Enzo's like, but sis, and Hex immediately jumps on with, yeah, sis.
Yeah, she
And
like pouts her face, and she's like, but sis, and I'm like,
like, yeah,
amazing. I thought I would hate this rework of her because I've seen pictures of like white and gold Hex on the internet and stuff, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna hate this, aren't I?
Mhm.
Going into season 4 because I haven't watched it, right? Man, no, I really like Hex as a sprite and her calling Dot sis.
Yep, I dig it. And this is where she mentions that she loves children, but she can never eat a whole one.
She's like, but I simply adore children. And she does that fake kind of like thing, but I could never eat a whole one.
And then everyone just kind of looks at her like
Yeah,
what
yeah.
did you say? She's like, it's a joke. I'm joking.
I love that. I was like, Hex is funny now. Amazing. So watching this episode, and I saw it was called Sacrifice. This is what I initially thought. You know how there's like different waves of like going to like Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever. There's like denial and this and acceptance and all that stuff. It was different characters. For me, it was like, oh, Bob, he's fading. He's gonna do something. He's gonna kill himself, right? And then as we kept going, I was like, oh no, it's Dot. Fuck, man. And I went through different characters until I realized what the sacrifice was. And
then
they got me.
And then you pulled a Bob from last episode and just like fell down to your knees and like held your arms in the air and like screamed, no, no.
You know me well. Should Photoshop my face onto Bob from a screenshot. But you know how you were saying, where's a game when you need one?
Yep, here comes one right now.
And you know who's super stoked for it, but no one else is? Dot,
because she got a plan.
Yeah, so she tells little Enzo, so here's what I want you to do, bud. I want you to go over into that game over there, buds, and once you get in the game, I want you to lose the game. But before you do that, buds, double tap your icon, and I want you to go into game sprite mode and take off. And he's like, but sis, and she's like, no, but sis, me. Just do as I say, take off.
And little Enzo is just like, don't worry, Bob, it's gonna be okay. I'll come back and save y'all.
Yeah, because Bob's like, what the no, big no. And she had told Bob, don't fight me on this. And I'm like, fuck, go Dot.
I have no idea why I went like Canadian with that.
So we were watching our favorite show, ReBoot, the other day.
Hey.
And watching ReBoot and podcasting sure as hell beats fighting dudes with treasure trails. Can't even.
So you're sitting around watching ReBoot with your pals the other day. If Letterkenny was about ReBoot.
Was it?
No, that's every episode of Letterkenny usually begins with somewhat like usually Wayne, the main character, or one of the other main characters being like, so you were blank with your blank with your pals the other day.
Yeah.
Usually almost every episode starts.
We're sitting around in front of the farm the other day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shooting the shit with your buds the other day. Yeah, like stuff like that.
So you're all sitting around with your pals drinking a bunch of brewskis, waiting for the hockey game to come on the other day.
Sitting around watching ReBoot. Podcasting the other day. Okay, that's enough.
Okay.
Fuck, Letterkenny is a funny show. Jesus Christ. I've watched the latest season twice now. And
so here's my first clue. Maybe what I'm talking about is obvious, but we had different ideas, so I'll present my case here. The idea of, time moves differently in the game. So you'll spend a decade getting buff, becoming like big Matrix, and then you can come back and save the day just like Matrix did. I mean, Matrix didn't do it by himself, right? And she's like, Frisket, go with him. And Frisket kind of like nods. Mm-hmm. Frisket's in on this. This isn't for him to leave. This isn't, man, rewatching this is like, gives me some feels. This isn't for Enzo to leave and actually become older and strong and come back. Mm-hmm. If he leaves, he can't get infected by Damon.
Right.
And he can't be killed if they decide to blow up Mainframe. Mm-hmm. So she's saving her brother.
See, I kind of like your theory here, Cal, because otherwise it's kind of a dumb plan
It
on Dot's
that
part.
and
Here, hey, Enzo, go into a game and just go get lost for potentially all eternity and then come back someday when you're a grown up. Like, really? That's
she's
that's
saving
it's
her
on,
brother.
on the surface, it's kind of a dumb plan.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, she's not telling anyone else this because they wouldn't agree.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah, 'cause
exhibit
Bob-
one.
Because Bob is trying to reason with Dot, like there has to be another way to do this. And Dot's just like, no, I've made my mind up. This is what we're going to do.
And that's when I realized, oh, she's got a zero sum game plan going on, which is why she even says, hey, if Damon needs you to be the messenger, we'll get to that part in a bit. Damon needs you to be the messenger, so it's important that like you escape to the web or the net, Bob. Right. So her game plan is nuke everything but send everyone else away. And Fong knows.
Yeah.
I'll point out how he knows later.
No, and as we watch Hack and Slash take Frisket and Enzo into the game, here's something that I've never seen before. They managed to enter the GameCube from the side instead of directly underneath.
I thought I saw that, and I'm like, I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that.
No, I just saw it too. So
Yeah, I think that's just a mistake on their end. I don't think you can actually enter. In fact, well, here's the thing, Christopher, we have seen in season 1 that if you don't get underneath it and you hit the side as it's coming down, it deletes the hover tanks and it presumably sprites that collide into it.
Yeah.
Fall apart.
Or if you're hack and slash, you fall apart or whatever. I think it's just a animation mistake they did. They weren't really thinking or something, because you have to be under it, right?
Apparently in every episode until this one.
Yeah.
I think that's just kind of a like a little mistake.
Here. Yeah.
An
oopsie daisy.
Yeah, I think it's an oopsie daisy. You're right though. They do.
Yeah. And then in the following scene, Bob and Dot are walking about and Dot shoots Bob one of his former lines. I do not believe in the no-win scenario. I'm covering my options. Oh, so Enzo's an option now.
Right. So they're reconstructing the Stargate, and this is where Dot explains what her plan is here, is to lure Damon to it, and destroy her. She mentioned something about like scattering her across like the corners of the net or something, like one access point, multiple destinations. And help me out here.
Okay, so yeah, so they're talking. Bob's like, "Oh, what? I'm supposed to go and just hide in the net?" And like, yeah, exactly. Dot's like, "Exactly." And he's like, "What happens to mainframe?" And she breaks character. She looks sad, and there's sad music that starts to play as she looks away. So
and you can actually look in her eyes, like she's keeping her eyes on Bob, but she's also directing her voice behind her, like, Dad, is everything ready? Like she knows what's gonna happen, but she doesn't want to admit it.
Yeah, so I think Fong, her, and Nellman, this is a tactical, what's the kamikaze? It's a trap, yeah. And what happens? Wouldn't you know it? Damon comes on through.
Yeah. We'll blow her.
Yeah, you were trying to explain what the plan was here. The plan was when she enters the gateway, to get back to what Christopher was saying, when she enters the gateway, hit send.
Yeah, we'll blow her code to the far corners of the net.
So presumably, just we talk about Stargate all the time, but I mean, that's what's happening here. They're planning on what's it called when it shoots out first, Christopher? When the Stargate shoots out and like kills everything in front of it.
Oh, that's
before it stabilizes. The event horizon, or
the event horizon, yeah.
Oh, I got a Stargate thing right. That's what I thought. I kept thinking, I'm like, how would this hurt her? And I'm like, oh, turn it on when she's in front of it. Right?
Which
Without
it's kind of a weird plan though, because it's like you're assuming she's going to be lured right to exactly to this spot that you want her to go to.
What if
But
she
like,
doesn't go there?
what if she doesn't go there? And there doesn't seem to be anything. There's nothing here that implies to me that like this is the place that she would go specifically.
She's also not dumb. She might see a big circular Stargate and go, that is a stupid place to stand.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's all they got. Also, can't she touch the ground and like shoot energy out and infect you from a distance?
absolutely.
Well, that's what she does when she lands.
Oh yeah, their plan fails.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah, their plan fails because she does exactly that. She like floats down and like infects all the ground around
Oh yeah,
them
Damon's
and
here.
infects them.
Suddenly
Yeah.
she's here.
Yeah.
She's
As
like,
if
"Oh,
on
hello.
cue.
Hello, Dot. That almost sounded Cockney. Hello, Dot. I'm here to infect mainframe, I am.
Oh.
No, she does not have a cock. She'd be insulted by that. Fong, the wise one, and Dot. And then she looks at Hex and
She's like, you suck. Bitch, you suck.
yeah, she loves everyone, especially the messenger, Dot. And she's like, you. What does she say? She's like, Exidecimal, you have turned into an abomination.
Exactly. It's like,
Yeah,
you're bitch, your kind.
Yeah, and I
Now,
actually
I'm
like
wondering if
I like this bit here because Hex is like, forgive me, my lady, and she's like, no, and then just like
when she becomes
throws
infected.
her like back into the wall.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
yeet.
Bob gets defensive of Hex for a second before
Mhm.
she infects everyone, and because she's like, you are abomination to your kind, and Bob gets really angry, and she's like, no, she's not one of you anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
Go Bob, like man,
When here's a quick
I like him.
here's a quick thing. When Damon looks at Hexadecimal, says her name, Hex blinks at her and then lowers her head like she did something wrong. So I feel like she and Damon have tangled before or have worked together. Yeah, look at that body language. It's like, oh shit, I have like,
even before she's infected.
yeah, like deep in my soul, I have betrayed my viral kind in a way.
I don't know that they've necessarily like met before. I think she's just
It's like a cousins thing.
well, she's like
Like, how could you do this, cuz?
yeah, and it like in this moment she's like kind of spellbound by Damon, and so if like everyone when they're possessed by the Damon infection, they all like are like very like loving and very like amorous and jovial toward her. Not jovial.
Even Turbo gets turned.
Yeah. But and I think that's reflected on the fact that Damon's attitude toward everyone is, you all must hear the word. But like she's pissed off at Hexadecimal for basically turning her back on being a virus, essentially.
Mhm.
So when Hex becomes spellbound by
And apologizes. Yeah.
Hex feels that anger and like disgust that Damon has for her, but because she's spellbound by her, she's feeling like really sheepish and embarrassed and ashamed.
Mhm.
Yes, because
like
they want to please her. So it's not that she feels bad, it's that their minds get rewritten to absolutely please. Because we saw Deacon, we saw him act like that too. He'd be like, my lady, I failed you. And she'd be like, sometimes she'd be like, no biggie. And other times she would be like,
You
kill
died.
yourself, bitch.
Right. Yep. And
I didn't, you know what? I didn't think you're that hot anyway. Right on, out.
I guess I'll pour. I've only got a little bit left in this 40 here. I guess I'll pour one out for myself.
Pour one out for me into my mouth. We just actually also said bye to Rhinox on Beast Machines.
Yeah, yeah.
So Damon touches down, infects everybody on the ground, in the airspace, all of mainframe.
Yeah,
And
and I think it was Christopher said she like tries to kill Hex, or what is that? Like, in the very least, hurt her.
She force pushes her into a wall.
Enough that the solid, whatever the wall is made out of, it's technically not made out of anything because it's a digital space, but it cracks and crumbles like a Dragon Ball Z character smacking into it.
And right before this, she's like, it's time to be reunited with your friends. And so she brings back Mouse, Andrea, Matrix, and Mike the TV.
He's still in the sequin suit. Please take that off, man. This isn't you.
He has heard the word. And the word is bird.
Like, right, because he's talking like a southern like televangelist, right?
Yep. Oh yeah. So now they enter the principal office. Damon's leading the way. Everyone's following, and Hex is all passed out outside, and you can
her
see
face is cracked.
Yeah, her mask has that crack in it.
And then, man, I like this, like in quotes, like episode, because it was Christopher. It was originally made as a movie, but then just split up for episodes, right?
Yeah.
Man,
Lady Glitch actually has my my season 4 Canadian season 4 DVD of Reboot, where it is presented as 2 movies. And and I've said it several times now. Yeah, you purely can't get that shit in the States. But yeah, and I've said it like several times now, but like I think these work better as movies than they do as individual episodes. And this entire episode feels very much like the culmination, like the third act of a movie.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it a lot, because the game says the voice says game over, but not user wins.
Yeah, so it lifts up, and Hack is like, dude, what the fuck happened? We were supposed to stay in the game.
And I like that Enzo's like, I know, like he seems amazed at himself.
That he actually won the game.
Like he's in disbelief. He's like, I know. And they're like, why didn't you lose? What does he say?
He just basically says that he can't do it. Like
I couldn't do it. Oh, he couldn't leave his family. Right.
He couldn't leave his family behind. And is this the part where like Hack and or Slash is like Matrix, and he flips out and he's like, stop calling me Matrix. I'm not a little.
I love this. I like that Hack, Slash, Frisket, Enzo look around and they're like, why is everything green?
Oh yeah.
What is this green stuff?
I got a bad feeling. And Enzo quickly puts together that this is Damon's doing.
That Damon must be in mainframe.
So they're fine. That's intriguing. She infected the system, but it's not like an ongoing thing. Right. It's not like the Medusa virus where it is like the Medusa virus in that if you touch a surface that's already been like infected, you're fine. But if you're hit by the infection wave, it gets you.
I mean, who knows? We haven't Hack and or Slash were very careful to avoid the like pulsating green like web on the ground. So who knows, if they had touched it, maybe they would have been infected.
I love that he's like, Hack, long range scanner. And Hack's hand, as if he's talking to a key tool, and Hack's hand, like as if his key tool's name is Hack and Slash. Would it be cool if they turned into Enzo's key tool? Anyways, he says long range scanner, and Hack's hand goes in and comes out as just a regular pair of binoculars. And I'm like, fuck's sakes. You make do with what you can, right?
Right.
So little Enzo takes the binoculars. He starts looking around what's going on. The smaller ball on top of the principal office opens up like a flower bloom, and you can see Damon controlling Bob up there to start creating portals.
And what are those portals to? The systems she couldn't access?
Sure.
Right?
The show doesn't really go into it.
We can
she just needs him to make portals.
Right.
And then he looks to another area and he sees Andrea and regular Matrix just kind of hanging out, being cute.
He's like,
And-
uh-oh.
Yeah, Slash is like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, and this is
So
where
I love this. Go ahead.
Enzo like flips out, and they're like, Matrix, what are we gonna do? And he was like, stop calling me Matrix. Like, I'm Enzo. I'm not a renegade. Like, I didn't like live through the games. Like, blah blah. Like, I'm a guardian. And he like double taps his icon and like changes his clothes back to his like guardian like cadet outfit from the end of season 2.
Yes. Yes.
Ooh, I got a hero.
Little Enzo ends up being the MVP in this episode, in my opinion.
Fucking
And
love, absolutely.
There's a scene coming up where he gives a speech. The speech that he gives to Matrix to help him break the infection. Like,
Yes.
it's like one of the best moments in this series, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Definitely probably my favorite part of season 4 so far.
Yes, and up until now, little Enzo has just been an annoying background character with an identity crisis, and bam, like, you know, like, I'm just trying to do my best, like, guardian, cadet. Enzo is back, and
Yeah.
fuck yeah, man! Like, wow, I love this. I love that it's not a scheme where he gets weapons or tricks. It's about him going to his friends and like snapping them out of it. And why don't we get into that? I think Slash tries to go deal with Damon, and he's diced into pieces by Mouse.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like, step away from the portal, and then it's just slice pile.
So well, we've seen them sliced before, so he's probably okay, right? But yeah, Hack's very defensive of little Enzo when they go to approach Matrix. Frisco's even growling. And this
I think you hit the mute button, Cal.
no, I was stuttering and thinking.
Oh, okay.
This is probably the most important part of season 4.
Yeah, so Matrix and Andrea are still like are still under Damon's influence, and Enzo ends up reasoning with Matrix because basically, like, what happens is Brisket starts growling at Matrix. He ends up biting him, and Matrix like gets like really pissed off, and he's like, "Make him stop, or I'll." And Enzo's like, "Well, you'll what? You'll hurt Frisket?" He's like, "Yes, I'll hurt Frisket." He's like, we love that dog. Like, this isn't you. Like, you gotta fight Damon. Like,
And he's like, remember, you hate viruses.
You hate viruses. You hate Megabyte.
Get the darkness in your soul. Embrace the hate. I laughed so much at that. And I'm like, little Enzo understands Matrix just like the viewers understand Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, he's this edgelord who's all like, never trust a virus. Right? And I love that the whole him embracing his emotions of love and hate. Right? Like, you would never hit Frisket. Like, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
How can you say you love anyone, love Damon more than Frisket?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And little Enzo is like, use your hate. You hate viruses. You hate Megabyte.
And Matrix comes too and double taps his icon and like reactivate because he's in game sprite mode, I believe.
Yeah,
That's right.
Forgot he's like full guardian mode. So
yeah,
we saw him go that his icon was game sprite mode in like an episode or two ago, and we were like, he's just chilling in game sprite mode because it's to evade the guardian of the other guardian sensing him.
Yep.
So he just taps it, it goes into a normal icon, and he's free.
Yeah, switching back to his guardian PID actually like cleanses his infection.
And that makes me think that the mainframers have an extra defense against Damon. And I'm like, wait, is this well written? What show am I watching? Like that, because that's something unique to mainframers, right? They're prepared for this. Uh-oh, if we get caught in a game scenario.
I don't know if it necessarily is unique to mainframer. I don't think it's really stated one way or another.
It's not stated, but the fact it might be. Regardless, it's a cool, believable situation in which they can go back to being themselves.
I feel like the game sprite mode is only available for those sprites that have they have achieved a certain level of upgrade. Because anytime we see game over user wins, it's just a bunch of freaking nulls because there are no other like sprites that are in that game.
Anyone can be turned into a null if they lose the game. Binome sprites.
But do they have the compatibility to train to get themselves into game sprite mode, or do they have that knowledge within them to do so?
I think as long as I see what you're saying, yeah, I think is
like we're not going to see binomes going into game sprite mode, for instance.
Probably not. But it is just a technological thing. Like Mouse physically worked on them, so it's not a matter of. I think I could believe any sprite could do it. Okay. Maybe not binomes, but wasn't there an evolution? Like yes. For instance, like the numerical sprites were more advanced than the binomes.
Because we were watching Medusa Bug and they were showing the level or the speed of degradation once you get infected. Like low density items go first, higher density ones last.
And then binomes, and then lower level sprites, and then higher level sprites like the humanoid ones.
Exactly.
Right.
I think you might be onto something. I believe any of the humanoid sprites could probably go into game sprite mode. Mm-hmm. If they had that knowledge and tech.
Yeah.
So how do they get Andrea? What happens here?
Nothing really happens. It's just Enzo or Matrix like breaks free and then we cut away.
So presumably they just tapped her icon for her, or
yeah,
or no. Matrix is taking his guardian icon because we see him do this with someone later. He takes his guardian PID. Hex. And uses it to cleanse Hex. So presumably off camera, he did that too.
He did that. You're right.
As well.
Yeah. And speaking of Hex, we go.
He didn't want to help her.
Speaking of Hex, we actually go back to the principal office. Little Enzo's walking up the steps. And he's like, "Hex, are you all right?" And she's just kind of like laying there, totally out of it. And she's like, "My lady rejected me," and she's like super sad about it. She called me an abomination.
Yeah, she's under the thraldom.
Yeah.
Of Damon's spell, but yeah, they cleanse the virus, like Siege said, and
is this the part where they're like, you should cleanse her, and he's like, cleanse her? Why? She's a virus, and then someone is like, he's back to normal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who said he's back to normal? Somebody like Enzo or.
Yeah, I think it was like Hack or Slash. Like one of them was like, he's back to normal. Yeah.
You cleanse her. She's a filthy virus. Yeah.
It made me chuckle.
And I guess Nullman Matrix was immune to the virus because he's just a bunch of nulls.
Yep, there he is. He's
like, reforms. He's like, and I'm here.
Well, now he can reform because Hex has been cleansed. So his ability to and like we see later on, like when she leaves and it ends up destroying herself, his like nullman, his null man. There should be a null man.
There should be a null man.
Just crumbles. Like the nulls
because it's all it has to do with Hex, right?
So it's still like, even though she doesn't have her viral powers anymore, like she is still like linked to the nulls somehow, and she is making it possible for Nullman to become Null Man.
Yeah, you're right. She still low key has some power over the nulls, as we saw when she was like tracing, like moving the nulls around when she was in the principal office.
Yeah, so as soon as she is cured of Damon's infection, Null Man is able to return. Null Man.
Null Man becomes
Null Man.
Null Man Digivolve 2. Null Man.
Digivolve 2. Warp Digivolve too? No, Zilla.
Oh yeah, and then Giga Digivolve. His Giga
Yeah.
form is what
There's
does it
a
go? It's Mega. It goes
Rookie
Digivolve, Mega, and then Gigi.
What?
Giga.
There must be okay. I'm a season 1 and 2 Digimon girl, and that's about it. So
That's all you need.
that's all I need.
You never even got to the hot Digimon, the ones with giant like boobs and like muscular like frames.
Anjumon and Lady Devamon are all I need.
Okay, so you did get to the hot Digimon.
But they were at the end of season 1.
You're right. You're right.
I barely know what you two are talking about. so-
That's okay. 80% of the things Siege and I talk about, Lady Glitch doesn't know. So
I don't know. Now it's my turn in the barrel.
yeah.
Yep.
So we get a shot of freaking Damon touching portals and presumably remotely infecting them. She's just putting her hand in, infecting systems, the last of them. Doesn't seem to give a shit about Bob dying.
Bob, yeah.
Yeah.
Why would she really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your function is over. Now it's just a matter of time. And in fact, she kind of fondly looks at her
Mm-hmm.
hourglass. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like Dot is gonna like break out of it because she comes to Bob's aid and like kind of looks at Damon as if she's like, what the hell? How could you do this? So I'm like, oh, she gonna snap out of it?
Yeah. And then we cut to inside of the war room and they're all standing behind the controls and they're just like, Damon's killing Bob. What do? We got to do something. And Matrix looks at Hex and he's like, well, I'm all out of ideas. It's like, you got anything good?
And she does, because she immediately like stomps away and they're like, where are you going? She's like, to get more power from the core.
Which means, and remember, when she's in a low state, she can maintain being a low energy state. She can maintain being a sprite. And she had mentioned, well, I could just go and power up. And Bob's like, no. So
whoa there.
We get to see her powered up shortly here.
In a fight that's actually for the time, and considering this is before like something like Man of Steel, like I got Man of Steel like General Zod versus Superman vibes.
This is hype. Okay, because she comes
not
out of
as
nowhere.
hard hitting as that movie, but like,
hey man, for a
TV show in like 2001, like it's pretty fucking hype. It's like the most like Superman-esque fight we'd seen.
Well, it starts with her like old school, well, not completely old school Hex, but like reformatted by her brother Hex. And she screams like, get away from my sprite, and like fire blasts Damon, and it works. She goes flying like across the bridge to the principal office.
What I love about this is that once she hops out of the core and she comes back out, she's back in her old like quasi season 1 outfit, the red and the black, and she's got like little gold trim everywhere. So
yeah, little
like
custom.
Yeah, it's like a mix between her season 1 costume and like her bondage gear from season 3.
That's what I was saying. It's like not
Yeah.
quite her brother giving her bondage gear, but a little bit of season 1. So is this the first time we've seen this model of her? I think so, right?
So.
Yeah. And huge Kryptonians fighting on Earth kind of vibes, like grappling, slamming into each other, walls are exploding, the ground is like being dug up, and there's a really good screenshot of them staring at each other as they're grappling. Damon's this like little 12, she's like a 12, 13-year-old girl, right? And Hex is tall in those heels. She's like taller than all the other sprites in Mainframe, right?
Thousands upon thousands of Metropolis citizens are dying as buildings like crumble on top of them.
Then, Dragon Ball Z blasts are flying through buildings.
And then little do we know, there's Bruce Wayne down like at ground zero, just like glaring up, like looking really pissed off,
holding a binom in his arms.
It's a classic viral bitch fight.
I will defend Man of Steel and Batman v Superman to my grave. I really like those movies.
There are good things I like a lot about them. like you
of
said,
Steel or Batman v Superman is more of a mess. Like it's a very messy film, but if you watch the Ultimate Edition, the 3-hour version, you get more out of it.
hey, Lord of the Rings is great if you watch the 12-hour extended edition of the movies.
Yeah, so you get it.
I get it. Yeah.
And I have not seen Lord of the Rings at all. So
12-hour commentary binge. Here we go.
like
Sure.
No.
Sure.
No.
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 I joke, but no, please.
No. I don't really like Lord of the Rings. I never have.
I do, but man, ain't nobody got time for that.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they had fun breaking up Mainframe animating this, huh?
Yeah.
There's even like a Superman like uppercut from Damon, and like hexes flying around. It's fucking great.
This is 100% a Superman fight right here.
Yeah, and it kind of ends with them in a standstill because when it seems like Damon's winning, Hex just gets back up and she's like, "Oh, you're really starting to annoy me."
There's fog everywhere, and then all of a sudden there's randomly a horse walks by.
Flickering fires here or there.
Still talking about the opening of Batman v Superman.
Yeah. And Damon is like, "Why are we fighting? You are now a virus once again.
We should be friends." And at that point, the last granule in her hourglass trickles down, and the hourglass like shoulder pads she's got on start glowing bright green.
I'm with Christopher in that'd be a great time for like Hex to be like, "Friends with you? As if, bitch." And, right? Like, but it's really dramatic as that we've been wondering what the time motif
who
is.
the fuck do you think you are, bitch?
You have to buy your friends. Well, if you think about it, we've been making jokes about Damon's army of simps, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, does somebody with a whole bunch of OnlyFans subscribers really have friends? So what happens here? You're saying her like she starts to glow and she's like, "I am Damon, I am the word."
Yeah, it's like my time. I am not an entity. I am a time, and my time is now. The word is cron. So she is a cron virus, as Bob said.
And my partner had like pointed out, she's like, "Oh shit." My partner's
I think you were talking about that last week.
Yeah, my partner immediately was like, "Oh, okay." So it's like a timed initiative program.
Yep.
So what it is like, get everything hacked, right? Backdoor or whatever, and then like remotely initiate, like in the programming or like whatever for all of them to activate after a certain amount of time. So even if they're cut off from the source, they would still activate at a given date, which is like kind of interesting that they did their homework.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we see Damon just kind of like explode a little bit.
She dies.
Yeah.
She was never meant to rule. That wasn't her purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Even Bob is like, "Oh shit, you're a cron virus?"
And then we see the binary, every system that she touched start counting down in binary. And Andrea's
just like we saw Rhinox do a couple episodes ago.
001. Oh shit.
And Bob is
we see Mos Eisley, we see the weird planet that was just a whole bunch of like satellite dishes. Mm-hmm. Very briefly, we saw like Enzo and Andrea on like a satellite dish planet, like a Dyson sphere.
Mm-hmm.
We see all of them very happily. We see all the binomes and sprites just kind of like stare up in the sky and be like, 1 1 0 1 1.
And while all that's
they're on some good shit right now. Yeah. Is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
They're mighty they're mighty fucking stoned and just like looking up happily, waiting for doomsday. This is like the mainframe equivalent to like a doomsday cult.
That's true.
And he's dying, by the way. Very much so. She's explaining why this is bad, very bad, to Dot. And we get some classic Hex times.
She's like waltzing with Bob as he's
Get away from him, because she
He's
grabs him.
like, Hex, what are you doing?
And she's dancing with him,
Yeah,
holding his like half alive body.
Yeah, like Christina was saying, she's like waltzing with him as he's like barely alive. She's gone like full wackadoo again. Like she is full back into being like full like BPD
season 1.
It's like
hexadecimal.
I'm gonna take care of you and make you well, and then you will love me as I love you.
Aww.
I just wanted her to scream at this point, like, or else. That would have been like the icing on the cake there.
Yeah, she actually shoots Dot back with
because Dot's like, hey, we don't have time for this now, and she shoots her. Her brother catches her.
She's like, I knew this was a bad idea.
Yeah, Matrix is like, what's a virus? Always a virus, or something like that.
Yeah,
Matrix has some Matrix bullshit. This
so
is
Bob,
some great writing by Bob. Go ahead.
Bob explains to her like what's going on. He's like, "Oh,
you're sick."
Yeah, you're sick. And she's like, "I've never felt better. I have the power of the core." And he's like, "Well, basically, like everything's about to die because Damon was a cron virus, and to all things, when the countdown reaches 0, then that's it. That's everything. Like it's all gone.
Everything. You.
Yeah, and to yada yada it a little bit. Hex is basically like, well, that just won't do. Like,
that's not good enough.
Yeah, that's not good enough. I'll do something about this.
She screams at Nullman, like, start this bitch up.
Yeah.
Referencing the Stargate, yeah.
Yeah, start dialing home.
and Nullman's like, the only way we can defeat this in time is if we have a benign virus to cure everything.
And Hex is like, well, problem solved. We have a virus, me. And Bob's like, well, you're not going to survive this. And she's like, and this is great. I love this. Hex is like, but you will. And
without hesitation, without fear, without like
repercussion.
She's just all like, oh, but you will.
Yeah. And she tells Bob that she loves him and that she's always loved him, and she tells Dot to take care of him. And and like she is so gung-ho on this that she actually like takes control of Nullman and makes him like fire up, like dial
because she can control
back to Abydos to fire up the Stargate.
Do you remember what she does to Matrix? She rushes over, grabs him.
Oh, right, yeah.
Slams him on the ground.
Rips off his icon, and she's like, virus hater, hope you learned something from this. Does something with his icon and like throws it back at him.
Yeah, like rips it off of him and throws it at him.
And then she goes over to talk to little Enzo, and she's like, here, a gift, and she does something to his icon too, which changes its color, and she's like, so you don't end up like him.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh.
It turns red and black and gold. Don't turn out like him. Yeah.
The line, like, yeah, a gift, so you don't turn out like him.
What an outro, because not only is she not afraid, there's a lot going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did she do to Matrix's like icon? What did she do to little like Enzo's? And her complete lack of fear. And she's like, oh, okay. Like she knows she's gonna die or whatever. I'm like, this feels like it could have been stretched out more, but because it's all happening so fast, like you said, she makes Nullman do this. Nobody can stop her. Everybody, including little Enzo, are like, hey, don't.
Yeah, then Nullman falls to pieces as we watch Hex's masks with all of her emotions just take over every single system.
Right, because he activates the Skygate and Skygate, Stargate. Yeah, and she says, I've always loved you. Now
Yes,
Dot,
and
look after him.
be happy.
And I'm like, man.
Like, that's like the sweetest thing in the whole world.
So I've never seen season 4 before. Everyone already knows Hex is my favorite. Like, man, you're not changing my mind after this.
Mhm.
Like, I did not realize the sacrifice was going to be Hex. What an outro.
Yeah,
Her
what a
screaming crazy faces just fly through it all the web.
yeah, across the entire globe. And so Damon is defeated because of Hex. Ultimately, Hex ended up becoming the biggest hero of this entire show.
They don't
Ironically
finish
enough.
their 001 countdown. None of them do.
No.
No.
It's cool. Her faces, as if they're like there's copies of them, right? Because her code has been disintegrated and dispersed. The faces like fly through them like spirits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
takes away the Damon virus. Presumably, not a single person has been killed. Oh, other than Deacon.
Yeah, other than him. Other
So
than
he's just
Rhinox.
looking on from the great beyond, and he's like, "You kidding me?"
Damn it, I had so many more beers to drink. Couldn't have done this like 2 hours ago.
Right.
Um
2 hours ago. Yeah, good point.
So we cut back to this very moving moment between Dot and Bob. And Dot is like just like checking on Bob. He's still like fading and like, almost no energon level. And it's like, you mustn't go again. Stay with me. We need you. Kind of blah, blah, blah.
You need to stay alive. And then she does it. Marry me.
Yeah. Drops the big bomb right there.
Yeah, and he's like, I never thought you'd ask. And they go to kiss.
Portal.
Can this not be in this?
Right?
Keep in mind, like listeners, I have not seen past this. Can it just end right there with him being like, I thought you'd never ask? Because I've got a weird suspicion I'm not going to be happy after this, but maybe I'll be okay.
So a portal opens up, and here we have OG Bob once again, voiced by Michael Ben. What's his name?
Michael
Benier.
Ben.
So we got OG Bob who steps through a
And?
portal,
Who's he
voiced by OG Bob. Who is he with?
He's with
Oh,
your
he's
favorite
with-
boy.
He's with Ray Tracer, right? And he says, "Marry him." I don't think so. And that's the end of this movie.
It's the end of Damon Rising.
Special outro by Hex's voice actress.
Right.
Shirley Miller.
Because she's like, I am hexadecimal. I've spread through systems, peoples, and places.
Yep. So yeah, that was episode 4 of season 4 of Reboot. Sacrifice. I keep wanting to just call it Damon Rising because in my head it's just a movie.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was episode 1 of the episodes. Episode 1 of
right.
season 4, right?
Right.
So here on Alphanumeric, we rate episodes of Reboot on the alphanumeric scale. It's a 4-point scale. Starts off with this is bad, very bad, pretty self-explanatory. Then we have I don't think so, which is an episode that is not very good, but not the worst thing ever. To that was easy enough, which is an episode that's pretty good, but also not the best episode ever. To the top tier, cream of the crop, rock of the rock, shop of the shop, doo-wop of the doo-wop, alphanumeric rating, which is the
Rocksteady and Bebop. Alphanumeric.
Alphanumeric. Lady Glitch, what are you giving Sacrifice on the alphanumeric scale?
I'm giving Sacrifice a solid alphanumeric. This is one of my favorite episodes, probably of the entire series. Like there's just so much going on. There's so much that leads us into thinking, hey, what's going to happen in the next, in the next arc? And it still answers like things that have happened in mainframe, things that are to come. There's a lot of great character development. We see hexadecimal being amazing. We see classic bitch fight, which can't complain about that. So we see a bunch of romantic things between Dot and Bob, which I'm a big shipper of Dot and Bob. So there we go.
Well,
And
that's the thing. Me too.
yeah.
I want Hex to, you know, get her rocks off, get Bob or whatever, but like it has to be Bob and Dot. Like, come on, man.
It's like what I was saying in season 3. Like, I wanted Andrea and Ray Tracer to have a fling. Andrea and Matrix don't have to break up. Like, maybe they just have an arrangement, or like, she comes
Or
back
Matrix
to him,
watches.
watches and jerks off. We all have our things we're into.
Yeah.
Alphanumeric. Anything else to add, Christina?
I'll probably
All
think
right.
about 7 more things to add after this. We get on recording. That's just the way my brain works. So
Yeah, same. Cal, what are you gonna rate Sacrifice?
It gets a mainframe sized alphanumeric for me. This is one of my favorite episodes of all
Very
of
nice.
Reboot. Regardless of the past like few episodes or whatever, like taking the hex bias like aside and breaking it down. The beginning, there's a problem. There's very clear like, hey, Dot plans on blowing this mother up. And she's like, oh, I don't believe in a no-win scenario. She's ready for a little win scenario. Off you go, Enzo. Oh, Bob, you're supposed to escape to the net. And he's like, what? I'm just supposed to hide? Being like, holy shit. Yeah. Like, Dot is ready to fucking die to save presumably billions of lives in other systems. Like, of course, she'll do what she has to take.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and her kind of keeping this and tricking Enzo, being like, oh, you need to go to the games and become big, just so that he's not in mainframe when it possibly goes kablamo. But that plan failing, and then Hex solving that in a logical way where the viewer, unlike the past episodes where we've been like, how did that work? How did the gate blowing up work? It's a little convoluted. This wasn't. It's like,
Right.
oh, well, the first time we made a Stargate, it blew shit up. So we make another Stargate, it'll blow shit up. And
we'll do it again.
we'll do it again. Yippee-ki-yay. And Hex kind of being like crazy, but still being like, oh, there's a problem. Oh, well, I can help with that. Oh, I die. Oh, well, but Bob will live, right? Oh, well, what's the fucking problem? Get out of my way. They try to stop her or like whatever, and she does some Hex bullshit before she leaves. But like, as soon as she found out that she could do that to save Bob's life, nobody could stop her.
Mhm.
And to reflect earlier, in the previous episode, she was seeing where Dot was with Bob, and she's like, we're just friends. And she was like, good on her. She went to Dot. She's like, hey, anything going on there? Dot's like, no. And she was like, oh, okay, because, and she's like, no, it's fine. She takes what she wants, right? she went after it. She shot her shot, and she went out with a bang. So I thought it was a good arc for her.
Mhm.
Alphanumeric, baby.
I dig it.
All right, I am also giving this episode an alphanumeric. I love the super fight. I really liked the speech that Enzo gave to Matrix. I really liked I liked the resolution to everything. Hex ultimately being the one who saves all of mainframe is just joyously ironic compared to previous seasons, especially season 1. It really wrapped up everything about the season 4 arc, and even stuff that had been teased in the previous season. And also that tease at the end, having OG Bob come back, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Okay, well, that made one of us.
No, I dug the tease, and also I like I like having Michael Benyere back. No disrespect to Cheetor Bob, but
Well, that's interesting because you have a good point because now OG Bob with OG voice actors back, but
yeah,
like Bob with Cheetor's voice actor, but yeah, like Glitch Bob
Ian James
is around
Corlett
too.
is his name.
Good memory, yeah. So it has potential, but immediate. My partner was like, "Oh man, is it just going to be like copies of people like showing up?" And I'm like, "No, that was just like an Enzo thing." And then at the end of this one, it's like, "Oh, okay." It's like, can't wait for 2 ray tracers, 2 mouses, and I'm like, "No, no, no, hold on, hold
No,
on.
it's not gonna go there. I
It'll
don't
make
rem
sense."
Yeah, I don't remember like the exact beats, but yes, it will make sense. And
Okay,
it's it where it goes, I like, is all I'll
Mhm.
say.
great writing.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
for pointing out the Enzo speech. Like, my man.
Yep. Um, so that was episode 47 of Alphanumeric. Alphanumeric ratings all around. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is go to Patreon, patreon.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. We're starting at the $5 and up tier. You get hours each and every week of bonus preamble audio where we're kind of shooting the shit before we start doing the episodes proper. It's a great way to hear us kind of talk about whatever. Like we were talking before this, we were talking about Silent Hill and Legacy of Kain and all
Guys were talking.
manners of things. Yeah, yeah.
I was just sitting over
Um,
here.
being like Jesus Christ, guys, let's move on. Yeah, pretty much. Um, also at the $5 tier, you get a monthly-ish commentary track. We're going to be doing another one of those really soon. Probably going to be about the Matrix Resurrections. And that's all at the $5 tier. $10 and up tier, you get our weekly news and current events program, Lasercomb Tonight. And you also get to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on mine and Cal's other podcast, the Lasercomb podcast. So if you want to get in on that, patreon.com/lasercomb. Social media, follow me or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/lasercomb. Once again, LAZORCOMB. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow the show proper at Alphanumeric Pod, POD, or you can follow me at Lasercomb for the final time, LAZORCOMB. Christina, you have Twitter, yes?
I do. Lady Glitch 619.
And Cal, you also
I
have
do
Twitter.
have the Twitter.
Yeah, you
You
do.
have the
I was
Twizzers.
like, do I? Do I? Where I steal other people's content and post it as my own.
Yeah, that was an interesting saga.
um, without even my knowledge that I stole anything. No, it was everything was cool with the Twitter drama. Yeah,
Well, me and Cal will definitely be talking about it on the preamble for this week's episode of Too Much Energon. So keep an eye out for
probably.
that. No, I'm gonna bring it up because I have things to say.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Yeah, NeoCal, NEO_KAL on the Twitter.
So go give any and all of us a follow on the Twitters. Cal, you also had something you wanted to plug, correct?
Oh, that's right. There is a podcast that I'm going to be guest hosting on. I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. I believe it's called like 0 and 2. Let's see here. Yep. So the O2 podcast, it's kind of like a fighting term. Oh, there's an O,2 podcast. Maybe it's a 2 and O podcast, and I just plugged something else. 2-2 podcast. Oh, it's not available on YouTube or anything, right? It's on other things. But
Yes.
basically, what it's going to be is it's by the Big Drink Energy podcast. But instead of reviewing energy drinks and ranting about them and their when we first discovered them or trying new ones or whatever. Basically, the premise is we are going to play like a random old school game that neither the host nor myself have ever played. We get 2 weeks to play it like on and off, or if we can at all, here or there. We play it against each other, and then we talk about it.
That
And
sounds
fun. Yeah, it's the episode 2 podcast, and I'll find some links for everybody. And yeah, we'll be playing Bushido Blade 2.
Well, when that goes live, be sure to send me links, and I will put it in the episode descriptions of this or any podcast that we do. Every podcast that we do.
All the things. Yeah, I will.
Things.
Will do. Wish me luck. I'm probably going to be destroyed. This guy was like a TO for like Smash Brothers tournament
TO.
Organizer.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. That once again has been episode 47 of Alphanumeric. We're taking next week off to focus on some Patreon related content, but we will be back in 2 weeks with episode 48 of Alphanumeric, where we're going to be talking about the 5th episode of season 4, My Two Bobs, which was also the name of the second movie. And until then, I've been one of your hosts, The Siege.
I'm Lady Glitch.
And I'm NeoCal.
And until next time,
Get away from my sprite.
You bitch.
well, I've only got a little bit of my 40 left over, so I'm gonna pour one out for myself right into my mouth. Yeehaw!
Good to know you, lady.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's our story from Gladiator Arena, Los Angeles, California. For Larry Zonka, I'm Mike Adamley. See you again next week for more exciting semifinal action.